And away we go. It is the nightcap, day drinking edition. Right here on BearcatJournal.com. This show, as always, brought to you by our good friends at Hail Mary Sports Bar. Wait, I think I have the wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I didn't know.
Oh, well. I don't know where it is. Oh, I know where it is. Hold on. This is why we usually have Aaron do this. There we go. It is the nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar. Right here on BearcatJournal.com. Go see our good friends at Hail Mary's. They're located in Cheviot. They're on Harrison Avenue, right inside the Dora District. So you can go from bar to bar with your drinks, or you could just hang out at Hail Mary's. They've got 27 TVs, a 9-screen video wall, the DirecTV sports package. So, you know, you can watch all the games. And Cincinnati Sports will always be on the 9-screen video wall. Brand new walk-in cooler, brand new draft lines, and, of course, Cincy Light on tap. 32.8 degree frosted glasses. All right. Aaron is obviously, based on my screw up a minute ago, he is doing daddy daycare. So wanted to go live, get a chance for people to tune in and talk about the commitment, the newest portal commitment from FAU transfer Baba Miller, 7-footer. 11 points a game last year at FAU, 7 rebounds, NBA type talent. Originally started his career at Florida State, was at FAU last year, entered the transfer portal. There was a lot of belief, Keegan, around the college basketball world for a while that he was going to stay at FAU, but earlier this week, that seems to have reversed course, that he was still open to leaving. And that's what happened today, as he announced that he would not be returning to FAU. And then shortly thereafter, it broke that he had committed to the Bearcats of Cincinnati. I've asked around, talked to some sources today. I do think this will probably be the last commitment on the roster in terms of guys that are expected to be contributors. Could see some scout team type guys added. What used to be walk-on spots, but now walk-ons are going to be on scholarship, so they're not walk-ons anymore, with the rosters expanding to 15. So you have 6 transfer portal additions, Keegan. 4 returning players, and then 2 freshmen. So 12 roster players. I think that's the right number. 6 in the portal. Dizzle, Day, Tyler McKinley, and Halveen. That's 10. And then Tillery and Abayev makes it 12. We'll get to this in a little bit. Sorry, my internet connection stinks. I think 513 day, we were on so long it broke the Spectrum cable box on the outside. I've already had a Spectrum technician at my house today. He was like, ain't your house. Done all we can do. Sorry. So the audio is still good, everybody, right? The audio is good. I know the picture is a little crappy. It's why we didn't get to a nightcap last night, but afternoon, Jason. Tim was waiting on this one. I mean, we weren't sure it was going to happen, Tim, but it did. They got it done. And Jason wants to know, Keegan, we back?
To be determined.
Yeah. Your thoughts on the addition of Baba Miller?
I think at first glance it fills a need, and obviously you were looking for length and physicality and size, and I think you got that in 2 players already with Sham and Haynes, and then you kind of add someone who fills 2 spots and the lanky wing, and he's also 6'11". So I think, what was he? What did he shoot from 3? 34% from 3. I think it was 34 for 114 last year. That's definitely going to be a big factor. So I mean, anytime you can bring a 7-footer in who can make threes at a pretty impressive clip, especially for someone of their size. And now you have two, and him and Sham. I just think I think it's a great addition. And you went down the list of those 12 roster players, and 10 of them are expected to have pretty like 10 of them are expected to contribute.
11.
Uh,
11.
If you're counting Tillery, which I wouldn't blame you if you did, but just him being a true freshman guard on a pretty guard heavy team, I would expect him to, I don't know, 10 minutes a game maybe, if he can produce.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talked to Cunningham, and he said after he talked to Corey, he's like, it's going to be really hard to keep that kid off the floor. And I think on top of his offensive ability, it could just be his mindset and his willingness to get down and dirty and do the stuff that a lot of people don't want to do. But focusing on Miller, it's a really, really good get. I'm pretty sure Indiana was involved from everything I'd been hearing. And I think it's even more impressive not only to beat out Indiana, but to beat out a school that a kid was apparently really willing to go back to. I think doing that is a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they would have been okay at the 4 if you had Haynes, Big Slime, Celestine, and Tyler McKinley. Like I think you would have been
Yeah.
okay at the 4. I don't think it would have been. I heard somebody at one point refer to it as a black hole. I don't think that would have been the case. I think they would have been okay. I think it probably would have been the weakest position in comparison to the guards that you have, and then having Abayev and possibly Harris in a 3-guard set, or Celestine in a bigger set. But now, I mean, you have to think. I know there's some belief Baba Miller can definitely play the 5 if you need him to.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little thin, a little light, but the thing that, like, when we talked about Dylan Mitchell being a little light for that spot, you're also talking about Baba Miller's 3 inches taller and a significant advantage in length. So some of those things can be covered by the size and the length of a Baba Miller as opposed to Dylan Mitchell. Now, I still think it's going to be interesting to see like how that rotation looks, but I also think they feel like Baba Miller in a pinch, or if you want to go really big on a team, like, he can play a little bit of 3 too because of his shooting ability, and he can handle it a little bit. Like, I don't think you want to play him there a lot, obviously, but if you're trying to figure out like where do minutes come from to keep everybody happy, I think there are some minutes available at the 3 to get the kid on the floor. So, yeah, I think it's a very interesting pickup, a very interesting, cherry on top of a roster that I felt like was constructed better than the roster a year ago, because there's a lot more positional versatility than there was a year ago. I don't look at this roster like last year, Keegan. There was a logjam of guys that couldn't play the 3, and really, you didn't want to play the 4. And there were just too many guys that had similar profiles on that roster last year that didn't have positional versatility, that didn't have, you can play this and you can help out a little bit, in a different spot, that I think this roster addresses a lot more.
The I think the more important thing when you're comparing him to Dylan Mitchell is Baba Miller shot 34% from 3. Dylan Mitchell shot 39% from the free throw line. And Baba made 64% from the free throw line last year. And then you look at Sham, who made 66, and Haynes made 60. So you've got 3 guys who can, at the very least, hold their own from the free throw line. It's not like they're 80% or anything, and like that's going to be a huge part of their game, is going to try to get to the free throw line. But I think that was just such a gut punch last year, was them making a run, Dylan Mitchell going to the line, missing 2. and then you kind of lose a decent amount of momentum. So, but I think that's a factor. He kind of similar to Haynes. He gets to the hoop pretty quick. He can rim run. So I think it's a really impressive get. And you also compare it to Mitchell with the cherry on top because was it this time last year? Was that when Mitchell committed? I think it was like May 20 something.
It was right around this week, next week, right around there.
Because I know it was live period in Indy was when Mitchell did it because I had to pull over on the side of the road and write a story.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that did leave you scratching your head, Jason, is Dillon Mitchell did make 60% of his free throws at Texas and came here. And it was like if he hit the first one, he was fine. If he missed the first one, all bets off. All bets off. Now the fun part becomes like, okay, where do everybody's minutes come from, Keegan? Because you got 200 minutes and you got 11 guys expecting to play quite a bit. I don't think we're gonna see like the old Coach Cal Kentucky line change that he did 2016, I think that was 2015, 2016, whatever. But when you talk about depth, like I said this coming into the season this year, everybody's like, oh my God, how deep is this team? I'm like, look, guys, we want them to be deep, but the top 5 guys are significantly ahead of the guys behind them. And then you had a couple of the top 5 guys that struggled. And now, you weren't as deep as you envisioned, but that was because there were guys that hadn't done a whole lot that were part of that equation. You're looking at right now, Keegan, from the 6 guys that they're bringing in the transfer portal, plus Jizzle and Day-Day, you're looking at 8 guys that have played starter minutes either in the Big 12, the A10, or the American. And that's depth. Guys that have done it at the highest level.
Yeah.
Now, maybe their numbers aren't going to be what they were when they were playing starter minutes somewhere else. But when you go to your bench, really all the way, 9, 10, you're bringing in guys that you think should be quality Big 12 players. 6 transfers, Day-Day and Jizzle, and then Abayev, at least, you think is going to be able to go at this level. And you think McKinley should be able to give you minutes at this level. So that's 10 guys, and then Tillery potentially. So it's a team that should actually have functional depth, not just we hope, or these guys had high recruiting rankings coming out of high school, so we're just going to automatically pencil them in as guys that are going to give solid rotational depth. This should not be a team that has many issues going to the bench.
Who would I'm doing like my hierarchy of impact players. My first 5 is Jizzle, Harris, Abayev, Haynes, and Sham. Are you against that?
I mean, what are you considering impact?
Like Jizzle's your offensive guy, and then Harris is your best defender. I don't think you can not start your best defender.
Yeah, I also think like if you're going to have Kriisa on the floor quite a bit, you're going to need Harris there because Kriisa is a lot of things. A good defender to this point in his career is not one of those things.
And then I have Abayev at the 3 because I feel like he's still the best 3 they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to say that. How do we know that for sure? He has the most potential of any 3 that they have. But what if Keegan? I mean, what if hypothetically he's a good offensive player, but his defense is still really far behind?
Yeah.
Can you put him and Kriisa on the floor together at all?
No. Which is why the starting point guard on the second line is Krisa, and then Day Day's the shooting guard.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see like what exactly rotations look like. I mean, I don't know that 5 is the number. I mean, who do you bump down that's not the quality of that top 5? Like, I think it's all fairly. I think Cham is obviously the most talented.
Yeah.
Of this bunch. I know a lot of people are going to be hesitant on Jizzle because they expected a big jump from him as a sophomore, and it didn't happen. It didn't materialize. He had a good sophomore year, but he didn't become one of the better guards in the Big 12, which is, I think, what people were really like kind of banking with him, as he was going to take that next step. I don't know. I think it's an interesting question.
McKinley's what, 6'9"?
6'9" or so, yeah. Roughly.
So he'd never play the 5, would he?
I think he can,
but not with the current crop of guys that they have.
I wouldn't think, like, if he's the 5, he's playing over
Baba,
Cham
or
Haynes, and probably Baba. Like, Baba did play a lot of 5 at FAU. Some of that just because, he was their best rim protector. And, their best chance with length to defend that position. That's not going to be the case here. He's not going to have to guard the 5 here because of, being the biggest guy on the roster.
He played 39% at the 5, 37% at the 4 per KenPom last year.
And then the rest at the 3?
He did not play any other positions.
Okay. Oh, I was doing the math on like.
Oh, hold on. That's just the past 5 games. I'm a dunce. But I think that would probably be pretty reflective of what he played the entire season.
Yeah, I think he would. I think here he'll probably see more at the 4, but he is available at the 5.
Which I'm assuming he'll probably like. Yeah, I think it's just interesting to think about the conversations that Wes is having with these guys.
Yeah.
And he has, I mean, I wouldn't be mad about Baba starting. I wouldn't be mad about Day Day starting. I wouldn't be mad about Krisa starting. Outside of that, like, he has 8 people who you can make an argument should be in the starting lineup.
And I think a fair argument for 8 guys to be in the starting lineup. I mean, I think if you told me Jizzle, Day Day, Krisa, or Harris were a starter, I wouldn't bat an eye. If you told me Abayev, Miller, Cham, Haynes were, some combination of those guys were the starter at the 3, 4, 5, and move Harris into that group as well. I have said I wouldn't be surprised if he starts at the 3.
Yeah.
As a third guard. Wouldn't be as a small forward per se, but it would be more of a 3-guard lineup, which if you looked around the Big 12 for a lot of this season, Keegan, we saw a lot of 3-guard lineups.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just picturing Baba and Cham with 3 guards.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
It would. Or even Celestine.
Yeah.
As a big 3. Could you imagine the length and size you have with those 3 guys, 3, 4, 5? But I think the nice part of it is, Keegan, you can play any kind. I don't really see a combination that I don't like, other than what we talked about. Like, if you've got Krisa and Abayev on the floor at the same time, you better have some serious rim protection.
Yeah.
On the floor. Could Harris play the 2? Harris is a 2. Like, Josh, make no mistake there. It's just crowded at the guard spots. So if you're going to find a way to steal 15 minutes so that instead of you have 40 minutes to work with for those 5 guys, now maybe you got 55, 60 minutes to work with for those 5 guys. I think that's where Harris maybe playing as a third guard comes into play, but he's more of a 2. Just a 2 that doesn't shoot it real well.
Yeah.
At this point. So
I mean, 31% his freshman year. Never know.
That's not great.
28% on this team as a really good defender.
I mean, still 31%. We're not stretching the floor with 31%, guys.
Yeah.
And that is a big point. Bearcats won is the bigs are going to be much better passers. Haynes can really pass. Chom can really pass. Miller is a decent enough passer. So you're going to have bigs that are going to be able to help. And all these guys are offensive threats. They can all score. So the defense can't play off of them. The defender comes up and has to guard him. Now you've got guys with size that can move the ball. Remember when we had on Corey a couple months back, 2 months back, or whatever it was, he talked about processing and getting the ball and moving it, getting the ball, reading the defense and moving it. I think these guys are going to help with a lot of that because we talked about it with Aziz. Enough. This isn't to rag on Aziz, but when Aziz got the ball at the top of the key, defense didn't have to guard him, and he wasn't a great passer.
Yeah.
So the defense sags off. Aziz can't make them pay for it, either offensively by scoring or by passing. Now he's just a handoff guy, right? He's just up there taking up space, doing fake handoffs and, little short over-the-top passes. You're not really going to be able to run. Did you see it all in his 2 years here, Keegan? Aziz make a backdoor pass to somebody cutting maybe twice the whole time?
No. I was just mainly biting my nails thinking he was going to take a step with the ball because that was usually a bad scenario for UC. And that's you have 4 bigs that can dribble.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people understand just how massive that is. That you can actually dribble and move at the same time.
When Dan and Aziz got the ball, they look like Chad Stream. Loading. Little wheel running.
Yeah. I'm going to do something.
With the money spent on this roster, is a 2026 Sweet 16 a must for West? No. Getting in the tournament is a must, Jason. I think with the roster that's in place, we get back to that conversation of wearing white the first round of the NCAA tournament. But as it stands, just get back to the tournament for now. Let's take the first step. But I do think, 8 seed, 7 seed, something in that range or better with what has been assembled should be the goal. But if he doesn't, ask yourself this, Jason: if they're a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament, they have a respectable finish in the Big 12 in the regular season. Say they get to the semifinals of the Big 12 tournament, and then they lose in the round of 32. You're gonna be out on Wes. That's what you got to ask. They got to do this. Well, okay, if they finish just short of that, are you going to say I'm done? I'm out. This guy can't. I don't think that's realistic. I think if they have a good year, they're a 6 seed and they get bounced in the second round, I don't think anybody's going to be like the season was a failure.
I also think there will be much more clarity about the job situation in December when we know what happens with football, because football can greatly impact whether Cincinnati is in a position to make moves on either
Well,
sport.
yeah, hypothetically speaking, football gets 8 wins and goes to a good bowl game. Like all of a sudden, you're not figuring out whether or not you're going to keep Scott Satterfield or not. You're going
Yeah.
to keep Scott Satterfield. If they win 5 games, there's conversations to be had.
Yes.
I still don't know that it'll happen after year 3 unless it's just a disaster. But you're right.
And I don't know if they'll be in a position to make a move basketball wise if they have to make a move football wise. No matter what happens.
No. If you still want to get good players here, they're going to need some of that money.
Yeah.
They're going to need some of that money. What else you want to talk about? You guys got questions?
Natty says no. Gosh. Who do you think has had the best portal class in the Big 12?
I mean, UC's got to be up there.
Hey, look. Team rankings.
4 not good seasons and 1 good season is enough to keep a job. Yeah. Like, do we not talk about this? Like, there's no context to it. Came into a completely gutted roster coming off of COVID. Got the roster stabilized and then had to switch to the Big 12. Like, there's context. It's not as simple as the guy came in, things were rolling, things were good. He took over from Mick Cronin. They had made 9 straight tournaments, and then things fell off the cliff. That's not the situation here. Would we have all liked it to happen faster? Yeah, but there are mitigating circumstances. There are things to be considered. There are reasons that things maybe haven't been as good as they wanted, and really, the only season that hasn't met expectations is last year. And last year didn't meet expectations. It wasn't good. But I think people then use that to pontificate on the previous 3 seasons when that wasn't their feeling on the previous 3 seasons. Pontificate. You like that?
That's a nice one.
Tallest 4-5 combo in UC history. It's up there for sure. I mean, 7'2" and 7 foot. That's pretty good. Pretty good. I haven't seen a lot of those.
They had the 3rd best class in the Big 12 behind BYU and Baylor before they got Baba, but I just added Baba in, so now it should be updating soon.
Starting 5 on May 15th, 2025. Now, this is just a guess. Like, ask me middle into June, early July. I should have a better feel for this. But today, I would go probably Kriisa, James, Harris, Miller, Chom.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think I think a lot of people want Abayev to start, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't.
I mean, you would then have what? Day, Abayev, Big Slime, Celestine off the bench.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Again, Brendan, you're moving the goalposts. The transfer portal was brand new when Wes got the job 5 years ago. Like you're taking now and applying that to 5 years ago. That's come on, man. If you're gonna have the conversation, have it in good faith. Don't try to pick and choose and say, well, you have to be able to rebuild with the transfer portal and NIL. When 5 years ago, the transfer portal was still new. There were still restrictions. Two-time transfers weren't allowed. You were just coming off of COVID. So miss me, man. Like you're trying to be argumentative. You're not happy with West. Cool. But there's plenty to not be happy with about last year. You don't have to take that and extrapolate into something that doesn't exist. Big words today. Reagan Jackson.
Extrapolate.
Reagan Jackson inspired me, Keegan, when she dropped a je ne sais quoi on us Tuesday.
Chad has what is it? I think it's in the show Friends. They had word of the day toilet paper.
Yeah. It poop a couple times today, so
okay. I brought it up. That's my fault.
You did this to yourself. What tier do you think we are in as far as roster cost? Well, clearly not BYU's tier. That's a different tier. Probably, I don't know. I mean, Kansas is still going to be ahead. Baylor, I still think, even though the roster's not great, spent a lot of money. I don't feel like Kansas State spent as much as they did last year. Is that fair, Keegan? I don't feel like Arizona State spent as much as they did last year.
Oh, Kansas State did 3.5 on 2 players
last year.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So probably in that second tier, probably not near the top of it, but not nearly as far back as they were last year. I think last year it surprised people what probably 4 teams in the conference spent. I think they spent way more than people were anticipating. I think everybody knew that BYU with their new coach and their new situation was going to spend money. Kansas was going to spend money. Kansas State had been prolific in spending money. I think when Arizona State, when you saw they were bringing in Jason Sonnen and Jaden Quaintance and Amir Bashed, whichever way it went. I don't remember which one was first. Like you knew they were spending a bunch of money. Baylor always spends a bunch of money. Texas Tech, Texas Tech spent a lot of money, but they spent $4 million on JT Toppin. So they're going to be up there, but I don't know. Like what I think the difference will be, John, is that I literally think Cincinnati was at like 4, and that tier 2 was like closer to 7, 6.5, 7. So there was a pretty big gap between that second tier and then the third tier, which was Cincinnati and West Virginia and a couple others. That probably comfortably like towards that middle of the pack in tier 2. I don't think they're all the way up near what BYU and Kansas and some of those are doing, but I think they were ready for it. I think they weren't in a situation, everybody, well, how did you not know? You don't know because nobody says anything. The numbers aren't readily out there. The contracts, you can't just pull it up and find out what people are spending. All you can do is after the fact, look all you do is after the fact, look and go, oh shit, they spent more than I thought they were going to spend. Like that roster is better than I thought it was. So the one thing I do like, John, as far as being able to work within whatever, I think it's probably 9, 10, somewhere in there. I don't know how it's not when you start doing math on.
I just did it.
But but it doesn't feel like there's one spot. I mean, obviously, if Chom goes down, you're not going to be as good. But I don't think like when Baylor lost Ojinwuna last year, they were in a world of hurt. They were in big trouble because they didn't have anybody else that really could help at the 5. Then you had to move Omier to the 5. That made them weaker at 2 positions instead of just 1. I think they've done a nice job of protecting themselves if they stay relatively healthy, that a guy getting nicked up or, missing a week or 2 isn't going to be like critical.
Man, Norchad Omier is someone I would give $3 million. I love that guy. So good.
I mean, that's a great question, Josh. I don't know what the answer is. Does this team have the ability to adjust minute distribution based on matchup? They should, but sometimes coaches, you know how coaches are. They develop a rotation. That's their rotation, and they want to force their style upon you as opposed to the other way around. I'm not a coach, clearly, but I'm of the belief that if you can be multiple, one, it makes you harder to scout because maybe what you look like Wednesday isn't what you look like last Wednesday because of the opponent that you were playing. But generally, coaches like to develop a rotation and then go from there as a general rule. I'm not trying to be argumentative, but to be complacent with a multi-million-dollar roster isn't something this fan base should be okay with. Brendan, serious question. What does it matter if you're complacent or you're angry or whatever? What does it actually matter? It matters to you. It might matter to your family because it ruins your mood if they don't play well. But in the grand scheme of things, what happens is going to happen. If they don't meet expectations, Wes's job is in trouble. If they meet expectations, it's not. If they exceed expectations, awesome. Like, you're arguing something that doesn't impact anything. That's all. Baylor will lead the league in TikTok dances. Don't go there, John Goble. You never know who shows up, and now next thing you know, you got TikTok dances in your feed all the time. I don't think any of these guys have a TikTok reputation coming in. You never know. Big donors have faith in Wes. I think it was also a realization from inside the athletic department. I think they upped a little. I don't think it was crazy.
Your audio just got really, it's different.
How about now?
There you go.
Where was I at?
Inside the athletic department, something they realized.
I think they gave a little bit more money to basketball than maybe they originally thought they were.
This time around?
Yeah.
I don't know how they didn't.
Early, what we thought would be what the distribution looked like, swung a little bit more to basketball. I don't think majorly swung a little bit more to basketball, but I think there was a realization that this league is very serious about basketball. And if you want to be competitive in basketball, it's not going to be by giving the basketball team 15 to 17% of your revenue share. It's going to need to be a little bit more. I don't know who's on campus right now, Jason. The semester just ended. They just had graduation. They can't really do anything until June. So that has not been on my radar as far as who's in town and who's not yet. Doesn't matter until June anyway. They can get out on the court and get some shots up, but they can't work with the staff. They can't, really do anything yet until workouts start in June. Anybody else got questions? Questions? No? All right. Well, there you have it. I think the roster is pretty much set, Keeks. Like I said, I think you could see a couple walk-on types, a couple scout team type guys added as we go through the summer. I don't think anything there is, guaranteed. But I know Wes is a big scout team guy. He puts a lot of responsibility on that group. You've been to practice, you've seen it's they're very much part of the team with how much work there is put in there. So I think that's probably it. I think we're at 12. I think you're going to roll with 12 guys into the 2024-25 season and feel pretty good about it. I think you feel like the roster is in decent shape. So think Mick would ever do a home and home. I don't think UCLA would do a home and home, Lambig. I don't know if you remember what happened last time UCLA and UC did a home and home in basketball.
And football.
4-0. UC LA. Just remember that.
We talked about this on the 513 day stream, but what is with Dan? That's what it was. Who do you most want to see them schedule a home and home with?
Like selfishly or competitively? Those are
Selfishly.
two different.
Selfishly. Yeah.
UCLA. I'm go back.
Okay.
Going back to Cali.
Okay.
Cali. Going back to Cali.
Not UCLA.
I don't think so. USC.
Berkeley.
Any reason I can go back to LA. Let's see. Hey, UNC would be awesome.
Yeah.
Just because of the West connection. I've never been to the Dean Dome. So I think that would be fun. West won a title there. I think he'd get a ton of love going back and playing in the Dean Dome. And let's be honest, Keegan, they're not in a great spot right now. Like their roster is not North Carolina. So
Kentucky, if they weren't too scared, I don't think they're scared. I don't think they're scared. If I'm being completely honest.
UConn with Danny, yeah, I'd love to see a game.
UConn would be fun. The cool thing is one of my top options would be Louisville. So it's very cool that they got that worked out.
Yeah. Corey back in the next few weeks. I don't want to give you a timetable yet. But yeah, the agreement was once the roster's set and things settle down a little bit, we'll get Corey back on to talk about the roster. So that's coming.
Creighton would be a fun one. Indiana.
Yeah. Get out.
Indiana.
Get out. Marquette would be fun. I don't like Shaka, so whatever. Never been a big Shaka guy. I mean, we're going back to the old CUSA days with DePaul, USF.
Ohio State.
Ohio State's, that's kind of been done. I don't really. It's basketball. Ohio State just doesn't move the needle in basketball.
Yeah. Purdue. Fans would love a Purdue home and home because Mackey is freaking awesome.
Purdue's hot right now, too. Michigan, yeah. Chrysler Arena. It's kind of a dump from what I've heard.
Wrestling's better.
Yeah. Izzo would be fun. Michigan State. All right. Well, I think that is good. I know it's 5:00. I'll let you guys get home from work. Do we do another home scrimmage preseason game? I don't know yet. That's that stuff. Jason, they're still working on all that. So I have no idea.
When did that get announced last year?
Pretty late. It's pretty late. July, August, maybe.
September 4th is when it got officially announced by UC and Ohio State.
Wow. So it's late, very late. You
Yeah.
left work early to get home just for this pod. I mean, we've gone 45 minutes, fake John Goble. Replace the 15-minute nightcap we would have done on it with me and Aaron later. So relax. All right. I think that'll do it. We will Aaron and I will do planning on doing a nightcap tomorrow just because there's a lot of stuff to get to in the college sports world that we haven't touched on in the past couple days. So hopefully my internet's fixed. Gee, waiting for these Spectrum guys to show up and start working again. I thought, honestly, Keegan, I thought for sure they were going to show up right in the middle of this and cut my internet. That's what I thought was going to happen, but we got lucky. You got blurry Chad for 45 minutes. All right, we'll see you soon. That's the nightcap brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com.